Hello, everybody. How y'all doing? Hope you're doing well. Yeah, I got a little special somebody here. There you guys go. I know you all much rather watch her than to be watching me. I get it. I don't blame you. I'd much rather see that pretty face than my mug, too, personally. I know. No, I don't think that bad of me or anything. I know I'm a very beautiful person, very beautiful soul. But let's face it, she should be the main attraction. Yeah. Is she just so pretty? I know. Of course, now she's gonna try and eat me. She's been doing that. Excuse me. She's been doing that a lot here lately. She's just been real um, biting, love nips and so forth. It's like, yeah, I don't know what it is. So, but yeah, I know. She's just such a pretty girl. So anyway, I wasn't too sure if I was going to do a video today or not. As I really, yeah, I had a couple funny things happen last night, which I'll go ahead and share. But I was just like, maybe I'll take a break or whatever, you know. But then I went up on the the local office for the National Weather Service's Twitter page just to see where we're at with the weather, see what might be coming up or what the temperature is going to be today, all that. And lo and behold, come to find out we had an earthquake last night. Oh, okay. No wonder I was so nauseous. And no, I didn't. Never. I didn't feel it. Didn't feel it at all. Not consciously, anyway. So I'm like, oh, okay. Well, I guess that explains that. It wasn't that big of a deal. Obviously, if I didn't feel it, but it was I think a four. I think it's been officially deemed. Initially, it was coming out as a 4.1, and it was changed to a 4.3. North of Indian Springs, which is only about 30 minutes out of town, north, right there along the 95 corridor. So, yeah, basically, if you're heading in the direction of Reno, up in that area. So, but yeah, I went ahead and if you want to check that out, I went ahead and reposted it on the. Oh, there she goes. Oh, rub my tummy, mommy. Went ahead and reposted it on the blog's Twitter page, whatever the fuck they're calling that platform these days. I have no idea. Twitter, X, whatever. It's like, okay, Elon, get your shit together. Stop confusing us. So anyway, yeah, she's just such a cutie girl. So anyway, yeah, I did that, and also there, thought I'd let you know. I don't know if I mentioned it before. There is a Twitter account called Nevada Earthquakes. Their handle is NV Earthquakes. If you go over to the blog Twitter account, you'll see it up there. So anyway, it's quite interesting actually to follow that. Um, Especially yeah, starting with Monday when the earthquake down in LA happened. Um, it you can see based off of where quakes were hitting here in this state, you can see where the cutoff line is based on off of the locations. And if you look up those locations on a map, you can follow, you can see where that cutoff line was with how far the effects of that earthquake in LA were felt. It basically here all the way, of course, Indian Springs going all the way up to Reno, and I think even I saw Virginia City. So yeah, it's quite interesting to see that. So and with us getting one last night, it's not very surprising because of course it's all interconnected. And of course, the Vegas Strip was actually built right directly on a fault line. And I did see a comment where somebody had said that they definitely felt it on the Strip. I don't know if I was in my car at that moment when, so that could be the reason why I didn't feel it. But yeah, I was definitely a little nauseous last night. So, but um, yeah, it, it was so yeah, I thought that was really quite interesting. But anyway, yeah, like I said, I had some funny things happen to me last night. One of them I did to myself. I had picked up. I figured, hey, let's do something a little bit lighthearted, um, and instead of me talking about my health issues all the time, let's do something a little bit more lighthearted today. Um, Oh, and speaking of that, with doing something a little bit differently anyway, I did see that the one person that I had requested that everybody send some positive healing energy to the other day, Miss Devra, she posted that she was out of the hospital. There were some complications, but she's doing okay. So yeah, definitely keep sending some positive healing energy her way so we can help out with her recovery. Okay. So I'd really appreciate that. So anyway, yeah, getting back to the funny things. First thing happened is I had I think it was my first request that I received. Or no, my no, it was my second. That's right. Actually my first one I picked up and I found out that it was one of the Ostrip hotel properties, not a resort. It's not a gaming. It's like like Holiday Inn Express sort of hotels, and right there basically by the stadium, Allegiant Stadium, and I'm going up and everything, and all of a sudden, I'm just on the back road there as I'm heading up to drop off the order. And lo and behold, I start seeing in the distance um, flashing lights, and I'm like, oh no. Sure enough, I get up there, road is closed, everybody's getting diverted. Apparently, there was some sort of event happening at the stadium last night. So I'm like, okay. So yeah, I had already gone offline anyway, and especially with feeling so nauseous and so forth, I was just like, no, I'm gonna stick close to home as much as I can. So yeah, I was already offline and went back south, and I'm like, I really need to use the restroom. I need to get out of this car a minute. And because the motion of the car wasn't helping matters either. So I figured I'd stop off at South Point, and trying to get into South Point was a bit of a bear. Fortunately, they have special parking for rideshare drivers, and I was just trying to maneuver to there, and I guess they've got Mike Gons. He's the one who owns South Point, and he actually bought it from Boyd a year after the property opened. It used to be known as South Coast, and the property wasn't doing well. It was part of the Coast Casinos brand, and they sold it off to Mike Gons, and he really um, transformed that property like you would not believe. I mean, it's all basically still the same, but of course, he couldn't keep the coast name, so he changed the name to South Point. But he has really uh, um, changed that property as far as um, basically not doing any sort of a profit. And yeah, but one of his big things that it does is um, he is a big supporter of the rodeo circuits. So, and I guess apparently that's what's going on there this weekend. excuse me, some sort of big rodeo event or what have you. So yeah, that's why all the traffic and everything, and I just wanted to use the bathroom. It's like, okay, never mind. So, um, but anyway, so yeah, then I could go to. I was in the process of picking up. Basically, it was a shopping order, and somebody, customer, needed some kitty litter, and I don't use the clay stuff. I can't stand it. I've never been able to stand it. The dust and the smell and everything. I actually used paper bedding for her. I had a bunny at the time, and she just took to it, and I've used that ever since. Yeah, it's more costly, but it's actually better for the environment too. So, but and I just change it out like twice a week for her. So, which I need to do today. But anyway, so yeah, they were buying some kitty litter, but they were buying one of those huge, huge tubs, and it fortunately was on bottom shelf. But I go to lift it, and I wind up dropping it on my toe. I'm like, oh yeah, so a little bit of fun there, and then it got really interesting later. I don't know what happened. Oops. She's like, okay, mom, I'm done. But anyway, I went to go. I would pick up another shopping order, and I get into the store, and all of a sudden the app goes haywire on me. I was just like, what the heck is? I realize when we get into those stores, the signal just is horrible, most of the time, and it makes it very, very difficult trying to do those orders. But I do them because they're usually good money, so or at least better money than doing the restaurant runs anyway. So anyway, um, I'm trying to do the order, and what keeps happening is the I try and scroll through, to kind of get a little organized, as far as, what part of the store I'm in, see what they might need, because it was a little bit of a big list. And I'm trying to, scroll through to see what they need. And the app keeps jumping to another section. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And then I try and, okay, I have found this item. So I try and tap on it to get into it to do what I need to do. And it keeps jumping back to the previous screen and then up. I'm like, oh my gosh. And of course, this is a last minute order. And those ones are always the most difficult ones anyway, because it's usually off the wall shit. I have no idea where it's at. Especially if it's miscategorized. Fortunately, they will usually categorize it, like by section or aisle or combination or what have you. But unfortunately, that was another issue too. For whatever reason, the app kept moving things to different aisles and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is a nightmare. And of course, this is draining my battery on my phone and everything, and I'm just like, oh, this is just a nightmare. And I have 30 minutes to get this order done. Like, oh, safe to say, I went over the 30, and it wasn't 30 minutes as far as, like a time limit, that the app was setting. This is when the store is closing. And I'm like, oh, much. So yeah, I wound up being the last person in the store. And of course, I can't find things either, because that's off the wall shit. And just like, for instance, this one item, it's cheese. It was supposed to be in the dairy section. Even the app is showing it's supposed to be in the dairy section. And I can't find it. I'm like, where the fuck is this? And I just have that feeling. I'm like, it's in this store. But where the fuck is it? And so there's a lot of that going on as well. Things basically being place somewhere else, just like there was these chocolate covered pretzels. It's supposed to be down basically the candy aisle. And it was a big bag of them. And I'm just like, so I checked down the candy aisle. I checked down the snack aisle. Come to find out, those are actually up at the cash registers. On one of those end cap things. I'm like, oh god. Thanks, Mercury retrograde. Go with the flow. Go with the. I just kept telling them, go with the flow. Just go with the flow, child. But the whole time I'm just like, thanks, Mercury retrograde. When I die, we're gonna have a little chat. Either that, or I'm gonna kill you, and yeah, we're gonna have some words in the afterlife. Oh my gosh. So, but yeah, and then on top of it, of course, I'm in the store after they're closing and everything, and the cashier, she sees me and she starts chewing my ass out. Store's closed. You store reopens at 6 in the morning. I'm like, look, this is an Uber Eats order. She's like, well, you'll just have to come back at that time. I'm like, ma'am, I am not going to be coming. I'm not going to be saving this order until 6 in the morning. Okay. So we either get somebody. Well, I've already clocked out, and it's like, well, then either find me somebody to help me with this order, or I'm just going to keep wandering around this store. Those are your options. As I was not going to cancel. I've already been through too much with this freaking order. I'm like, fuck this shit. I am not going to cancel this order. Oh my gosh. And she's just all like, like, lady, chill. So, anyways, and she's getting on the radio and and everything, and the assistant manager. Basically, all that's left in the store is the assistant manager. Well, basically, the assistant manager, and the manager, and they were just keeping the doors open to have everybody else leave, and so forth. Or making sure there's nobody else in the store other than me. And let them leave. And but he comes over, and he's just like, don't worry, I got this, go home, and he's just like, I am so sorry, this. And I'm like, it's okay, I get it, and everything. And I'm just like, it wasn't much that was left on there. There was like 4 items that were left on this list, and I'm just like, just where can I find these items? So basically, the cheese wound up being in the deli section. Those special cheeses, basically, I didn't even recognize the name. I do buy those every once in a while, but I didn't recognize this name, and I was just like, oh shoot. Oh my gosh. So, yeah, it's like, all right, I'll remember this one, especially with the way the picture, and that was another issue that I was having. They were showing wrong pictures for what the item was supposed to be and everything. I'm like, and the picture that they had for this item, it looked absolutely, I mean, it was the same label, but it looked absolutely nothing like the product. I was just like, oh my gosh, I never would have found it. Never would have found it. I never would even thought to go over there to look in, those specialty cheese section. I never would have, like where they sell like brie and camembert and so forth. Never would have thought to go over there and look, because to tell you the truth, with the picture that was on there, it looked like on the same level as Velveeta as far as I'm concerned. It's like, ugh. But when I see it, I'm just like, oh, okay, never mind. So anyway, got through that and everything, and I dropped that one off. Then I responded to this story is just like completely off the wall. I picked up a restaurant order, and I get over there to the neighborhood where it is. It's actually it's actually several gated communities, And sitting in the middle of these gated communities right there on the main road, um, I guess you could call it main secondary road, but anyway, there's this church with the parking lot, and it had driveways on either side of the church. The app is telling me to pull into the one driveway and drop off the order at this house that's on the left-hand side, and it's basically their backyard, and in between is a brick wall, very tall brick wall. And I mean, that happens actually quite frequently, because the app can't differentiate and so on and so forth. Or it'll have a tendency to take you to brick walls. It will have a tendency to take you to um, gates that don't open. I don't understand this area's fascination with building streets, putting in a gate, securing it with the lock and chain, and losing the key. So nobody can ever reopen it again. And I don't understand this area's fascination with that, but it's constant. I don't understand this area's fascination with gated communities to begin with. I grew up in an area where everything was wide open. Neighborhoods ran into each other. I had no idea. There was no differentiation between neighborhoods. And we're talking a military area, world's largest naval base. You would think that you would want things a little bit more secure or whatever, but hey, what do I know? But yeah, so this whole concept with gated communities, for me anyway, it's still mind-boggling, even though I've been here for almost 20 years anyway. So anyway, I go back out of the parking lot, and I'm trying to find which gated community that this house is in. To me, it made more sense for me to make a right and go up the road, and probably the gated community was there. Well, in between that the parking lot and the next gate that you could actually go into were a couple of streets that were blocked off with some of those gates that don't open. So I'm like, okay, probably once I get inside, I'll probably be able to maneuver over to there and find the house. No, I'm in the wrong neighborhood. I'm like, well, how in the world do I get into that neighborhood that is in one of those other gates? So I'm just like, okay, let me go back and let me see if maybe there's something I missed, so on and so forth. Finally, I'm flabbergasted. I'm like, how do I get into this community? So I call the lady. Fortunately, she answers, and I explained to her my situation. And she's just like, oh, yeah, I know exactly where you're at. Make a left. Okay. So I make a left, and I get to the right community. And fortunately, there was somebody else there, so I didn't have to worry about putting in the gate code. And we all both just went in. And I thought, okay, once I'm inside, usually what happens with the app, it'll straighten itself out and give the proper directions. No, it's still telling me to make a U-turn, go back out, go back to the church parking lot. No, I'm not going to be doing that. I'm like, So, okay, I'm like, okay, at some point, it's probably going to straighten itself out. But in the meantime, I'm just like, hey, unfortunately, the app isn't straightening out. Can you give me some direction? She's like, sure, no problem. So she's basically guiding me. And the whole time, the app is insisting that I go back out to, and I'm like, come on, And what was so funny, even there at the end, it was still, even though I was getting the directions finally to get to her street, it was still telling me basically to bypass the house, go back out to the parking lot. I guess it was insisting that I go into that parking lot and chuck her order up over the wall. That's how I'm like, seriously. I mean, even when I pull up in front of the house. It's still telling me. I'm like, I'm right there in front of the house, and it's still telling me to. I'm like, oh my gosh. Oh, and then even with trying to end the order, it was one of those leave at the door, take the picture, and so on and so forth. It was asking me, "Are you sure you're at the right address?" I'm like, "Yeah, I think I'm sure now." I mean, give me a break. I just got directions from the client, even. Oh my gosh, I'm just like, yeah, thanks, Mercury retrograde. And unfortunately, after everything, with all the screw ups that the app just kept doing and everything, it was putting a really big drain on my phone with the battery. I couldn't charge it. It was just acting up so horribly bad. I couldn't charge my phone even. And I finally just got to a point where it's like, you know what, my battery, it was like on um, like 30% or something like that, and I'm like, I'm done. I'm going home. I'd had enough. So yeah, a little bit of fun last night with the Mercury retrograde sign. Then I wake up this morning and come to find out, oh, we had an earthquake last night. Oh, okay. And that explains some things too, I guess. Who knows? The tremors or whatever, it could have, been wreaking some havoc as well. Um, it's hard to say. And I almost forgot about that. I fell asleep right after eating. I was just so exhausted. And I just conked right out. And I actually what wound up waking me up to change, get into my bedclothes and actually go to bed was was woken up by a Charlie horse in a very unusual place for me. Anyway, it was my left leg. I usually get them in my calves, and excuse me. And this one though was like right below my calf, just above my heel. And I'm like, this is a very unusual place for Charlie horse. I'm like, oh my gosh. So yeah, that's hey, at least I'm good for a good laugh. That's the way I look at it. Yeah, the way I look at it all is makes for great stories. Yeah, it's like at the time you can be like, what the fuck? Can even, get frustrated or whatever, but, just remind yourself it's like, just laugh at it because you're going to later on anyway. So, yeah. I mean, I realize there's some situations that you can't, but when yeah, I'm talking about minor things like this. Yeah, just go with it and just laugh it off. So, anyway, hopefully I at least put some smiles on your faces today. So, anywho, hope you all have a great day, and I'll talk to you soon. All right. I love you guys. Mm.